The gaze cuts through you like a blade. It's not curiosity. It's dissection. You can feel every move you make being recorded, as if you were part of a silent experiment. There's no rush, no hint of anxiety, only that icy calm, as if nothing in the world could touch them. And that is unsettling. The smile, it never reaches the eyes. The silence, it feels calculated, designed to make you speak more than you should. And suddenly, an uneasy thought creeps in. Is this person simply having a conversation? Or are they taking you apart, piece by piece, without you even realizing it? Maybe you're standing in front of someone incapable of feeling guilt, fear, or empathy. Someone who doesn't build relationships, only manipulates them to win an invisible game. And not everyone plays the same way. Some are masters of patience, moving their pieces with surgical precision. Others are storms, ready to destroy everything and vanish. And here's the part that will haunt you. Understanding the difference might be the only thing that keeps you from becoming the next victim. But how do you recognize which one you're facing? The answer begins now. Have you ever noticed how some people slip into your life like a gentle breeze, and before you realize it, they're inside every corner of your mind? They don't ask for permission. They don't need to raise their voice. And suddenly, your secrets, your weak spots, even your most intimate dreams are exposed, handed over by you, without you even noticing. Others aren't like that. They arrive like an earthquake. The intensity is so overwhelming, you don't have time to think. It's seduction, drama, chaos, all tangled together. And before you know it, you're moving to their rhythm, as if it's a game where only one person controls the rules. Here's your first clue. Psychopaths and sociopaths don't operate the same way. The psychopath is the surgeon. Cold, methodical, patient. They observe every detail, waiting for the precise moment to strike, without leaving any emotional trace. The sociopath, on the other hand, is the arsonist. Impulsive, unstable, just as dangerous. They don't wait. They explode. And in the chaos, they take control. But here's the real danger. In the beginning, both can seem fascinating. One, because of their intelligence and control. The other, because of their intensity and adrenaline. And it's in that fascination that you start to lose yourself. The question is, how can you tell the difference? Before it's too late? In the next step, we go one layer deeper in the darkness. Imagine you're standing before a calm lake. The surface is perfect, reflecting the sky. That's the psychopath. Nothing on the surface hints at what's beneath. But if you dive in, you'll find icy currents and silent predators. Now, replace the lake with a restless sea. Towering waves, treacherous currents, sudden shifts. That's the sociopath. The danger is visible, but it's also hypnotic. Even knowing you could drown, you feel drawn to the chaos. The psychopath has mastered the art of the social mask. They can look you in the eye and smile, while calculating exactly where you're most vulnerable. They copy emotions the way an actor copies a role. You feel empathy? They mimic it. You show fear? They take note, always with an emotional control that seems unshakable. The sociopath, on the other hand, doesn't wear the mask as well. They're more explosive, easier to read, but also more unpredictable. They might approach you with an intensity that makes you feel unique, and in the same week, vanish or erupt over something trivial. But here's the detail almost no one notices. Both test your boundaries from the very beginning. The psychopath does it with subtle questions, strategic remarks, small situations designed to gauge your reaction. The sociopath does it with direct provocations, invasive gestures, or small emotional outbursts, just to see if you'll retreat or come closer. And if, up to this point, you've thought of someone specific, be careful, because next, we're going to talk about the most treacherous sign of all, the one that's almost always mistaken for affection, but is actually the final trap. Have you ever felt like someone cared about you so much that there was almost no room left for you to breathe? At first, it felt like genuine attention, good morning messages, concern about what you eat, who you talk to, where you are. But little by little, you realize it's not just interest, it's surveillance. The psychopath turns this into a silent ritual. They wrap you in calculated gestures, creating the illusion that you share a unique connection. They offer help when no one else does. Say exactly the words you need to hear, But beneath it all, they're mapping your every reaction, storing details the way a hunter tracks the footprints of its prey. The sociopath does something similar, but the excess is more obvious. They might show up at your workplace just because they missed you. They might want your phone password because they trust you. They might turn a simple delay into a heated argument, all in the name of loving too much. The pretty name for this is care. The real name is control. The most dangerous part is that, at first, your brain interprets this intensity as safety. You think, they really care about me. But the truth is, every gesture is binding you tighter. And by the time you notice, you can no longer tell which moves are truly yours and which were placed there by them. And this is where many never manage to escape, because the next step is isolation. And it can come so well disguised that you only realize it when it's already too late. In the beginning, you still see your friends. You still talk to your family. You still feel like you have a life of your own. But little by little, that starts to change, without you even noticing when it began. The psychopath never has to ask you to distance yourself from anyone. They plant small seeds of doubt. Have you noticed how your friend envies you? Funny, your brother doesn't seem to like me very much. Those casual phrases, dropped at just the right moment, begin to create silent cracks in your relationships. You pull away to avoid conflict, and without realizing it, you're more alone and more dependent on them. The sociopath, on the other hand, hides it far less. They provoke direct arguments with the people close to you. They cause scenes at gatherings, accuse your friends of being a bad influence, threaten to leave if you don't cut contact. The result is the same: isolation. But the method is more explosive, more obvious, and the more isolated you become, the more your reality is shaped by their perspective. There are no other voices to question what you're told, no other eyes to show you something is wrong. There's only the version of the story they feed you. And over time, you start to believe it. This is the point where the cage closes. And when you try to move, you realize every exit was blocked before you even thought about escaping. But this isn't the final trap, because what comes next is the deepest emotional manipulation of all, the one that makes you believe you need them to survive. When the cage is closed, the next step is simple. They need to make you believe the prison is the only safe place. The psychopath does this with precision. They alternate moments of cutting coldness with unexpected gestures of affection. They push you away with icy words, and when you start adrift, they return with calculated tenderness. This back and forth creates an emotional addiction. You start waiting for the next good moment, like a prisoner counting the minutes, to feel a single ray of sunlight. The sociopath, on the other hand, uses intensity. They explode in anger, cry in front of you, fall to their knees, promise to change, and for a few days, it even seems like they have. But soon they hurt you again, and in this cycle, they convince you that their instability exists because they love too much. Both wield a powerful weapon: guilt. They make you believe that if they act this way, it's because of you, that you are responsible for their outbursts, their crises, their pain. And when you feel guilty, you start justifying everything. That's how the poison is delivered. It doesn't kill quickly. It corrodes your perception until you confuse abuse with care, pain with love, a prison with protection. And when you finally think about leaving, they know exactly which memory to use, which word to say, which fear to awaken, to pull you back in. But there's one thing they can't control, something that, once awakened, can shatter the entire cycle. And it begins with a silent change inside you. It doesn't start with a scream. It doesn't start with a dramatic escape. It starts with an almost timid thought. What if it's not my fault? That question is small, but it's dangerous to the one who controls you. Because if you start to question, you start to see. The psychopath fears the moment you recognize the pattern. That every kind gesture comes right after an attack. That every concession carries a hidden price. They know that if you piece it all together, the spell will break. The sociopath fears you'll see through the act, that you'll notice the tears only fall when they feel they're losing control, that you'll realize the promises to change are nothing more than pauses before the next act of destruction. This realization isn't loud. It's quiet, but corrosive. You begin to notice inconsistencies, small lies, overreactions. You start to remember the things you once forgot on purpose, just to keep the peace. And the more you see, the less they can hold you. Not because you suddenly became stronger, but because the illusion is no longer perfect. And when the illusion cracks, the mask starts to slip. The next time they try to manipulate you, you'll notice signs you used to overlook. And once you see, you can't unsee. But seeing is not enough. You need to know how to act without alerting the predator that they're the one being watched. Now you know something's wrong. But this is the most dangerous point. Because when a predator senses the prey is alert, they either change their strategy or they strike. With the psychopath, the signs can be subtle. That constant calm, even in situations where anyone else would react. The absence of remorse when speaking about something cruel they've done. That precise charm, appearing and disappearing, as if switched on and off at will. With the sociopath, the signs are often louder. Emotional outbursts that make no sense for the situation. A trail of broken relationships and lost jobs. An inability to keep up a disguise before chaos bleeds through. The trick is to watch, without confronting too soon. You test reactions. You say something that reveals nothing about yourself, and see if they try to twist it against you. You change one small habit, and notice if they react, as though they've lost an invisible grip on you. Meanwhile, you store every detail in your mind, not to prove anything to them, because you should never try to convince them, but to prove to yourself that what you see is real. You learn to become opaque. Say less. Reveal less. Keep your plans out of reach. Because to them, information is ammunition. And slowly, you move beyond their grasp. One step here, another there, quietly, until one day, the net no longer holds you. But that escape requires something not everyone has. The patience to act at the exact right moment. You're in an old room. 2 tables. 2 figures. At the first table, a man plays chess. His eyes scan the board with patience. He doesn't speak, doesn't laugh, doesn't hesitate. Every move feels inevitable, as if he already knows exactly how I'll checkmate you. This is the psychopath. Coldness turned into pure strategy. At the second table, the game is different. No chessboard, just scattered cards and overturned glasses. The man gestures wildly, laughs loudly, slams his hand on the table. And when he loses, he sweeps everything to the floor. This is the sociopath. Chaos disguised as spontaneity, destroying the game if he can't win. You watch from a distance, and you realize, in both cases, the mistake would be to sit down and play. Because with them, the only possible victory is not in winning the game, but in never playing it at all. Now you know. Psychopaths plan. Sociopaths erupt. Both manipulate, and neither sees you as an equal, only as a piece in their game. The difference between staying and escaping is often in seeing before you feel. And when you feel, acting before they notice. If any part of this story lit something inside you, don't ignore it. Maybe it's a warning your instinct has tried to give you before. Hold on to it. Share it with those who need to understand the danger before it's too late. And stay alert, because they don't always wear masks so obvious. The next step, learning how to shield yourself from the subtler manipulations. The ones you don't even realize are happening. I'll see you in the shadows of the next hidden truth.